You're in the bathroom on a Tuesday morning. You raise your arm. You spray a deodorant you've bought every year for a decade, a brand you trust, sold by a company worth $300 billion. What you don't know is that between November 2021 and October 2022, two of the largest personal care companies on Earth voluntarily recalled more than 1.5 million units of that exact product line because independent lab testing found a Group 1 carcinogen inside. This video names the 5 deodorants you've almost certainly used, and the 3 that are clinically clean. Starting right now with brand number 5. The story of how 5 major deodorant brands ended up carrying a Group 1 carcinogen is the kind of thing the personal care industry never wants discussed openly. Because it wasn't a rogue manufacturer or a one-time accident. It was the supply chain itself, and it's still not fully fixed today. The benzene scandal of 2021 and 2022 is the largest personal care recall in modern history almost no one has heard of. Number 5. Suave 24-Hour Protection Aerosol. In October 2022, Unilever voluntarily recalled multiple lots of Suave 24-Hour Protection Aerosol deodorant after independent lab testing by Valisure detected benzene in finished product samples. Benzene is a Group 1 carcinogen, the same World Health Organization classification as asbestos and tobacco smoke. The contamination came from the propellant gas, isobutane, which can pick up benzene during natural gas processing. Here's the part almost no one outside the industry knows. The FDA permits zero benzene in over-the-counter products as a finished ingredient, but it does allow up to 2 parts per million when contamination is unavoidable in the manufacture of products with a significant therapeutic advance. Deodorant is not a therapeutic advance. Valisure detected benzene at concentrations exceeding 1.5 parts per million in tested Suave samples, multiple times higher than what the FDA itself considers acceptable for life-saving medications. The impression of a budget drugstore staple. The reality of a recalled aerosol with a published carcinogen test result. Number 4. Old Spice High Endurance. In November 2021, almost a full year before the Unilever recall, Procter & Gamble voluntarily pulled multiple Old Spice High Endurance aerosol antiperspirants from shelves after the same Valisure testing identified benzene contamination. P&G is one of the largest consumer goods companies on Earth. The recall affected products manufactured over multiple production years, meaning the contamination wasn't traced to a single batch. It was a recurring supply chain failure. Beyond the benzene issue, Old Spice High Endurance contains aluminum chlorohydrate at concentrations between 18 and 22%, the active ingredient that physically plugs sweat ducts. A 2017 study published in eBiomedicine found that aluminum salts can accumulate in human breast tissue at measurable levels. The American Cancer Society describes the evidence as inconclusive, but several European national regulators restrict aluminum concentration in deodorants to a maximum of 0.6%. Old Spice contains 30 to 35 times that limit. Number 3. Axe Body Spray Deodorant. The Axe recall in October 2022 covered 14 separate Axe and Lynx aerosol products under the Unilever banner. Same root cause, benzene contamination from the propellant. But Axe carries a second, less discussed problem. The word fragrance on an Axe deodorant label is a regulatory shield. Under U.S. federal law, manufacturers can list a proprietary fragrance blend as a single ingredient on the label. And that single line can legally contain over 3,000 undisclosed chemical compounds. A landmark 2002 study by the Environmental Working Group tested fragrance-listed products and found that 75% contained measurable phthalates, endocrine-disrupting plasticizers linked in peer-reviewed literature to hormonal interference, particularly in adolescent males. Axe markets aggressively to teenage boys. That market overlap is not addressed in any Unilever public communication. The impression of a confidence-boosting body spray. The reality of an undisclosed chemical mixture sold through advertising aimed at a hormonally vulnerable demographic. Number 2. Degree antiperspirant. Degree was included in the October 2022 Unilever recall. Same benzene contamination. But it carries a separate red flag the recall press releases never mentioned. Degree uses aluminum zirconium tetrachlorohydroxyglycine as its active. That's a complex molecule the FDA classifies as effective for sweat reduction. But here's what almost no consumer knows. Zirconium-based aluminum compounds were banned by the FDA from aerosol deodorants in 1977 after concerns about lung tissue damage from inhaled particles. Roll-on and stick formulations were exempted from that ban. Degree's aerosol line is exempt because it does not contain zirconium, but its stick and roll-on formulations do, at concentrations up to 19%. The chemistry is more aggressive on sweat duct closure than chlorohydrate alone. It is also more aggressive on the skin barrier, which is why Degree carries one of the highest patch test irritation rates among mass-market deodorants. Number 1. Secret Powder Fresh Aerosol. Secret was included in the original November 2021 P&G recall, the one that started the entire benzene scandal. But it is at number 1 on this list because of what Valisher's lab found inside the bottle. In peer-reviewed style independent testing, Secret aerosol deodorant samples registered benzene at up to 17.7 parts per million. The FDA's outer limit ceiling for unavoidable benzene contamination in any over-the-counter product is 2 parts per million. Secret tested at nearly 9 times that ceiling. To put that in context, at 17.7 parts per million, a single can of Secret aerosol contains more inhalable benzene than a person standing next to a fueling gas pump for 20 minutes. P&G recalled the product, paid out class action settlements totaling over $8 million, and quietly reformulated. The same brand name and packaging remain on shelves today. Most consumers have no idea any of this happened. That's brand number 1. Here's what to buy instead. 3 brands. No aerosol propellants. No aluminum compounds at 25%. No proprietary fragrance shields hiding thousands of undisclosed compounds. These 3 formulations have been independently tested, are not under any active recall, and contain ingredients you can verify against the published toxicology literature. Here's the list. Number 3. Tom's of Maine Long-Lasting Wicked Cool. Tom's of Maine was founded in 1970 by Tom Chappell, who left a high-paying job at Aetna Insurance after what he later described as a spiritual crisis about the products he was helping market. Chappell started Tom's in his kitchen with a single goal: make personal care products with ingredients his family could pronounce. The brand was acquired by Colgate-Palmolive in 2006 for $100 million, but Chappell negotiated an unusual clause into the sale. Colgate is contractually prohibited from introducing artificial preservatives, synthetic fragrances, or animal-derived ingredients into the Tom's formulations. That contract is still legally binding nearly 2 decades later. The long-lasting Wicked Cool deodorant uses hops extract, yes, the same hops in beer, as its primary antimicrobial. Hops contain humalones, which research published in the Journal of Applied Microbiology shows kill the bacteria responsible for body odor without disrupting the skin's microbiome. No aluminum, no phthalates, no benzene risk, and a price point under $9. Here's a detail worth knowing. The brand has been carbon neutral since 2011, donates 10% of pre-tax profits to nonprofit causes, and has never voluntarily recalled a single product line in 55 years of operation. Compare that to the recall list you just heard. Number 2. Schmidt's Natural Sensitive Skin. Schmidt's was founded in 2010 by Jaime Schmidt, a then 30-year-old mom in Portland, Oregon, who started mixing deodorants in her kitchen because she couldn't find an aluminum-free option that actually worked. She sold her first products at a Saturday farmer's market for $6 each. 7 years later, in 2017, Unilever acquired Schmidt's for more than $100 million. The acquisition story rarely gets told because Unilever buried it. Schmidt's outperformance was a direct embarrassment to Unilever's own Dove and Degree lines. The Schmidt's sensitive formulation uses magnesium hydroxide instead of baking soda. That swap matters more than it sounds. Baking soda has a pH of around 9, which damages the skin's acid mantle and causes the underarm irritation that drives most people back to aluminum-based products. Magnesium hydroxide is pH balanced at around 8 and neutralizes odor-causing acids without disrupting the skin barrier. Schmidt's became the first mass-distributed brand to use this chemistry. Most natural deodorants that work today are essentially copying the original Schmidt's formula. The original is still on shelves. And it still works. Here's what almost no one knows about Schmidt's. Every batch is third-party tested for heavy metal contamination, lead, cadmium, arsenic, before reaching retail. That standard is not legally required for cosmetics in the United States. Schmidt's runs the test anyway. Number 1. Native Coconut and Vanilla. Native was founded in 2015 by Moiz Ali, a former government consultant with no background in cosmetics, who built the brand entirely through direct-to-consumer Instagram ads on a starting budget under $10,000. 2 years and 4 months later, in November 2017, Procter & Gamble acquired Native for $100 million in cash. It remains one of the fastest direct-to-consumer to acquisition arcs in personal care history. Here's the part that matters. As part of the acquisition agreement, P&G committed in writing to preserve Native's formulation independence. No introduction of aluminum, parabens, phthalates, or talc. P&G has honored that commitment for over 8 years. Native Coconut and Vanilla uses zinc ricinoleate as its primary antimicrobial, a zinc compound derived from castor oil that binds to odor molecules and neutralizes them, rather than masking them with fragrance. The formulation also includes tapioca starch for moisture absorption. Independent testing has placed Native at 0 detectable benzene, 0 detectable phthalates, and 0 aluminum across the full product line. The brand sits inside one of the largest personal care conglomerates on Earth and is, formula by formula, cleaner than anything else P&G owns. There's an irony worth sitting with. The same company that recalled Old Spice for benzene also owns the cleanest mass-market deodorant on shelves. The rule for choosing a deodorant is shorter than the marketing makes it sound. Check the active. If it's aluminum chlorohydrate or aluminum zirconium tetrachlorohydroxyl, set it down. If the propellant is isobutane and the formulation hasn't been third-party tested for benzene since 2022, set it down. If the ingredient list includes a single-word fragrance with no breakdown, set it down. The clean formulations exist. They cost the same as the contaminated ones, sometimes less. They've been on shelves the entire time. The marketing budget just wasn't aimed at making sure you found them. One more thing before you go. The exact same supply chain problem that caused the 2021 and 2022 benzene recall in deodorants also caused a much larger recall in sunscreens that almost no one has heard about. That breakdown is coming next. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Drop the deodorant you've been using in the comments. I'll tell you exactly what's in it.